Hello. Oh, hello, Dean.
Hey, we're back.
We are back. Let me just, I don't know what I did. Here. Mate, I gotta recognize I have a serious problem with the understanding of time. I don't
Yeah, I was
understand.
gonna say,
I
I was
don't
watching the
understand time.
time.
I do not understand time. I'm very good at some things in this life. Time is not one of them. It's not my
Well,
thing.
some people argue time doesn't exist, you know, it's
Yeah,
we
well,
created it.
as I feel, it doesn't exist for me, but unfortunately, that this affects other people, because I go
Yeah.
like, time doesn't exist, so I don't know. Then we went over time. We're gonna keep it short. We not want to take too much of your time either. What I would like to do is just run through literally a couple of very brief questions for you that they are more about small recommendation or a small kind of your input in certain things. Like, for example, very quick ones, like we're going to just bounce it back and forth. Ingredients or products, it doesn't need to be necessarily a brand or a spirit, but ingredients, products, or botanicals, or something that you have tried in the past few years that you went, I did not know this, now I feel that I cannot live without it. I give you my example. When I went to live in England years ago, I never tried before in my life rhubarb. I never knew of rhubarb,
Ah.
right? But when I went to England and I tried rhubarb and custard or different things, all things rhubarb, I fell in love so much of that flavor in particular that now I feel I cannot live without it. And I have included it in my, my routine, my diet, my drinks, my many things. Is it anything that you have found in the last few years that you didn't know? And then all of a sudden you were like, oh, fuck, man, I need this in my life. I need to have this, whether if it's a product, whether if it's a spirit, whether if it's a liquor, whether if it's a syrup, whether if it's a flavor or a botanical or just an ingredient.
I think I've rediscovered things with a new kind of, I think, take. So Rancan Can, you know
Yeah,
Rancan Can.
yeah.
So I knew about Rancan Can a long time ago, didn't really care. And now, like, I will just drink it, like, and I think I'm starting to think there's some categories, some subcategories within bartending that people don't, they haven't realized yet. Baijiu is a good example,
Yeah,
like if people like mezcal, they should like Baijiu. Barolo Kinato.
yeah.
So when I discovered Barolo Kinato a few years ago, I was like, how did I not know about Barolo Kinato?
Yeah.
Like, who's hiding this from us? So that, I think that
Yeah,
was one
for
of the
sure.
biggest. And that's where Barolo Vardier came from.
Oh, all
Ah,
right.
it's an
Nice.
easy one. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like
Those are
those,
good examples. Those are really good examples.
those
Thanks.
sorts of things hidden in plain sight,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
could
exactly.
just,
That's the point.
you could see Ran Can exploding, like, like Chartreuse did a few years ago,
Yeah,
or,
absolutely.
Fernet Branca,
Yeah,
and also, I guess even more recently, the Toronto cocktail.
I don't know this.
So Toronto is rye whiskey, sweet vermouth. Sorry, yeah, rye whiskey, sweet vermouth. But instead of bitters, you add like Fernet Branca and sugar syrup.
Oh,
Dude,
all right.
so good.
So
And like
nice.
Mitch Ono Bushel was drinking a rum Toronto, and I made one, and like, it's delicious. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to. It's like halfway between having a Boulevardier or a Negroni and a
Hmm.
Manhattan.
Right.
So for me, with a bit of menthol mintiness from the Fernet Branca. But for me, like, how did I not know that cocktail
But
for the
was it
last 20 years?
the regular Branca or was it the mint Branca?
A regular Branca, but
All
I
right.
still get mintiness from regular
Yeah,
Branca.
yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. Okay, I'll translate very quickly. Le pregunto a Dean un par de preguntas rápidas. Una de ellas es, ¿qué nuevo botánico, producto, espirituoso o no, ha encontrado en los últimos años que no conocía tal vez, que le han llamado tanto la atención que dice, de llegar a decir, ahora no puedo vivir sin este producto? Y Dean nos dice de que más que encontrar nuevos ha sido reencontrarse con algunos de ellos, como King King, que es un aperitivo que está realmente cojonudo, que deberían todos probar. Luego, what was the other two that you mentioned? The two that you mentioned?
Baijiu.
Bayo como una categoría que es una especie de vodka hecho en China, pero que tiene mucho que contar todavía. And the third one that you said that it was the one that
I said cocktail, so like
no, de Barolo Chinato.
Barolo Chinato,
De Barolo Chinato, que es una bebida que es realmente muy interesante también, que es italiana. I think if I might, in a fairly recent trip to Italy before this whole pandemic and all that, I had a friend who showed me one day around, I think it was in Turin, and he said, I'm not going to take you to cocktail bars, but I want you today to try just local sodas that we have in Italy. And he took me to a number of different places, and I was mind blown. I mean, seriously, then, the amount of like really tasty, super cool sodas that they have that we don't know about it because they are not like big ass companies that they're international distribution or anything like that, are amazing. We did after that, me and my friend, we got together and we did an entire session of just making drinks with the very few things that we had at hand and just a selection of sodas. So we were just doing highballs and long drinks, but just with Italian sodas. And we were going cachaça and this, and now this, and this other, you know, and oh man, it was so good. They have so many things.
That's one of the things I've realized. Have you tried Seckford mixers?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so they changed my perception as well. You know, just basic.
Mate, you introduced me to this at your home in one of the trips that I did to your place, and you welcome us by and you explained perfectly fine as you do. You said, guys, we're going to start with, we can make cocktails, we will make cocktails, we will have cocktails. But before we get into cocktails, why don't we have just a very simple, clean, crisp, you know, kind of a highball? And you explained what was Seckford. And thanks to that, Dean, then I actually met Tallulah, because I thought it was very interesting, and I got together with her at Café Pacifico, I think, and we talked and we did some collaborations and stuff. So yeah, super.
Yeah, awesome.
Really cool. Otro producto que todavía no se encuentra fuera del país, pero que es sumamente interesante para cuando podáis volver a viajar a Londres o a Inglaterra, son los Seckford Mixers, que se llaman, que son sodas que tienen un cierto nivel de sabor, pero que están hechos muy inteligentemente. En vez de un sabor o de otro, te hablan de que esta soda... So there is one that it is for whiskies, one that it is for agave spirits, there is one that it is for gin.
And one for rum.
And one for rum. Yeah, that is correct. Entonces, en vez de estar dividida por sabores, está dividida por a qué bebida te la recomiendo. Hay una soda que está recomendada para whiskies, una soda para ron, otra soda para bebidas de agave y otra soda para ginebras. Y están realmente muy, muy bien hechas. I think it's a great product. It's a good example as well.
The whiskey one works well with vermouth and sherry as well. Like,
all right.
I drank like a whole bottle of Tio Pepe and Rama with the whiskey mixer, like 50-50. It was...
You always been kind of a very big and a little bit geeky on the whole finos and sherries and stuff. I mean, yesterday we were talking about you. I had a little call thingy Zoom with PJ and Boris.
Oh, nice.
Two nutcases. I actually got half pissed in the afternoon because of that bloody thing. Just before opening my bar as well. And we were talking, and obviously, you know, Boris being the guy for Tio Pepe and all that. And I was saying to him that if not the number one, very close to that, one of the biggest sellers that we still have in our bar is the drink that I asked from you, which is the Fino fucking colada, which is an amazing drink.
I think it's great.
It's super drink to me, and I said this not because I have you here. I said the same. I said the same yesterday, Dean. In the hundreds upon hundreds of twist-on classics that we have all tried all over the world, whatever. I think one of the best twist-on classic that I have tried is the Fino colada. I really think
good,
so. It's super.
Well, you know how it happened.
Yeah, the story in Mahiki that you had like plenty of finished
Yeah,
sherry, and then you said, what am I supposed
there
to do
was
with all
just
this?
it was just becoming oxidized because there
Yeah,
wasn't being used. So I was drinking that instead of drinking like rum. Everyone else was drinking on shift,
yeah,
and also like it was like all the things combined together. And I love Fino sherry, so
yeah.
it worked. But you know, also I've extended on that. So my idea is Pina Colada is strong, right? 40% alcohol goes in. Then you got your Fino Colada, which is like, you know, a third of the strength of the
Yeah.
Pina Colada. And then for the Insta models, Proteina Colada, which is like, which is a non-alcoholic one with a little added protein, the vanilla protein powder in it, so that like they can look like they're drinking a pina colada with their friends. They look the same, but actually they're drinking a protein shake, you know, getting the protein in.
That's very fucking clever. I was actually, when you said, and then you have the Insta models, and I went, what? Now I get it.
Yeah.
That's great. I translate that very quickly. Dimos cuenta de que, bueno, que el fino colada, que es una creación suya, que es, no es otra cosa que una piña colada con el gran twist de, en vez de utilizar ron, utilizar fino sherry, en el caso de este, tío Pepe. Es un súper cóctel. Aquí en Perdita, en mi bar, es uno de los cócteles más vendidos que hacemos, más recomendados también. Realmente recomiendo quien quiera la receta, se la paso cuando gusten. Y Dean me decía de que, bueno, esto nace de cuando él trabajaba en Majiki, que era una discoteca un poco tiki de mucho dinero y gente de poder adquisitivo alto, que había mucho fino sherry que se estaba oxidando y que él prefería beber fino sherry que beber ron en aquel entonces, y terminó utilizando el fino sherry para hacer una twist en el piña colada que funcionó así. Y luego me dice, bueno, está el piña colada que es strong, está el fino colada que es ni una tercera parte de strong de lo que podría ser un piña colada, y luego está el protein colada,
Proteina.
protein colada, yeah, that's the hook. Oh, fucking hell. You also like the puns and stuff. De protein colada, que es para las Insta models, que no es otra cosa que es un shake proteínico que trae una fibra dentro de esto y no tiene nada de alcohol para que pretendan de que están bebiendo. I think that's great. Listen, Dean, just one maybe last question
I'm losing you.
on. Yeah, no, I got you now. In terms of similar like the one before, but in terms of bartenders and bars, I know this is a tricky. In terms of bartenders and bars, you traveled your fair bit across the globe doing stuff. And, you know, there are the usual suspects and big names that we see on the list, and then they get nominated and all that, which are great and fairly deserve their place. But is it any place that you were like, mate, this is a hidden gem? You know, and maybe nobody knows about it, and maybe it should be just that way, because it's something special. It's a place that it might never make it to the 50 best. It might never be in a city that is super cool. It might not be a super international bartender with, you know, thousands upon thousands of followers, but it's a cool place, and it might be just a fuck, I don't know. It might be a pub somewhere. It might be a place that you go, this is dearest to me because of, I don't know, it's the best pint I ever had, or I had the fucking brilliant Cosmopolitan outside New York, or something like that. It's a tricky one.
There's so many of them. That's the hard thing. There's a lot of bars that don't get the you know, they're not on the list, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how do you break it down? My head's racing now because I'm trying to think of like one that really stands out. You know what? Actually, so I don't know. I think one thing I would say is, you know, Australia.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good bars in Australia.
Absolutely, yes.
And they don't. I feel that the what's happening in those bars and the drinks and the culture isn't traveling across.
Yeah.
You know, you see a lot of what's happening in London and New York, and unless the bars put themselves out and do a lot of promotion, you don't see them. So one place I had an amazing experience was, I think it was, it's one of Tim Phillips' place, and the bartender was Adam Dow, and I can't remember the name right now, but they basically, they were doing things like taking a Bacardi Breezer and then making an in-house version of a Bacardi Breezer. So it comes in a bottle and they pour it, and it tastes like what a Bacardi Breezer should taste like. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes,
like,
yes.
so imagine instead of having RTDs, you like, which I'm hearing you're doing an amazing job on, you do the reverse, you know, like you reverse engineer a Smirnoff Ice and then put it on the menu, and then people order the Smirnoff Ice and it comes out and it's actually a legit cocktail, but you've made it. They were doing that, and the bartender was phenomenal. Like, he managed the group really well. He had conversations going on.
Sydney?
In Sydney, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
He had conversations going on, and that moment in time, that bar was the best bar in the world for me.
Fantastic, I get it, yeah.
Two other bars, as I'm saying it,
yeah.
Two other bars. Another one, do you know Joffrey from Balderdash in Copenhagen?
I do not.
Okay, so you should. Like, Joffrey, he's at every trade show. You know, he flies his staff to London Cocktail Week. He travels out as much as he can. And he sees everything that's going on. He's an ex-New York bartender. I believe he worked in employees only. And then he moved to Copenhagen. And his bar is amazing. It's epic. And all of his staff are like beautiful.
You remember the name of his bar?
Balderdash.
Balderdash, right, got it. Okay.
So big, massively under the radar. Like, you know, he should be getting a lot more recognition, but he's in, you know, Copenhagen's a little bit sleepier than and when I say sleepier, we are sleeping on it. You know, it's not sleeping.
That's a good point, yeah.
So you know, everyone knows about Ruby and Likyub and the bigger name bars, but Balderdash is phenomenal. And then the #1 most underrated bar I think I've ever been to was in Germany, in Munich, and that was it only opened for like 6 months and then it went bust. I think it went bust, but it was I can't remember the name now. You know Matthew Bax?
It rings a bell, this one.
So Matt Bax opened a bar in Melbourne like 15, 20 years ago, where they had all the bottles hanging from the ceiling.
Right.
And it was called De Raum. And he opened a bar in Munich, and everything was sourced from the local area. All the cocktails were daily because they were foraging in the morning. So, you know, economically, it didn't make a lot of sense. But I went there 2 nights, and the 2 nights I was in Munich, and the first night I drank every single drink on the menu. Well, actually, every single drink in the whole bar. There was nothing left because they didn't have a lot on offer. You know, they weren't expecting people to drink that much. And at the end of that night, I left, and I came back the next day, and I said, I already know what I want. And they said, no, you don't, because they changed the whole menu. So I drank the whole second day's menu. And also, the first night after I drank everything on the menu, I ordered a beer, and I got a beer. And everything's local. Everything's within a couple of kilometers.
Right.
And they said, you like beer, do you? And I said, yeah. So the next day I come back in, and there was me, Charlotte Voicey, and Jacob Briers. And I'll never forget this. They said, hey, you're back. It's good to see you. You know, we got you a beer, right? So they get me a beer. And they had this small, I think it was wooden keg of beer, and they spiked the keg. We had some cocktails, and then they brought over a beer for me. And I tasted the beer, and the beer was amazing. And then Charlotte and Jacob were, you know, they're professionals, right? They weren't drinking to get drunk. They weren't drinking beer. They were drinking cocktails. They were there to have 1 or 2, and then they were going to go. And I said to Jacob, you have to try this. Have to try this beer. And Jacob's not an easy person to convince to do something he doesn't want to do. Jacob takes the beer, takes a sip. He's like, And me and Jacob, Charlotte, you have to try this beer. And Charlotte's like, I'm not having a beer. And then eventually, Charlotte. And then the three of us were having beers, you know? And
amazing.
That, like, everything they did was right. Everything they did was so good.
Exactly what I was aiming for, because I don't know, man, you know, perhaps it's another different conversation altogether for another time, Dean, but prizes, awards, and lists and numbers and that kind of thing is the whole thing, right? But like I said at the beginning, you know, it's good that it happens and it's good that people get recognition and all that. But at the same time, there are so many places, you know, they're wonderful. And maybe, you know, it's not because they're ultimate cocktail technique or, you know, their unique selection of really expensive spirits, but maybe it's because they give you the best beer you ever try with a couple of really good professional friends. You know, and that stuck with you as the number one thing out of the blue when I'm asking you this question, and you're saying, but this place, it gave me this. And that, and that's great. That's great. Let me just give me 1 second to translate this, and then we're going to start wrapping up. Le pregunto a Dean. Dean ha viajado muchísimo en el mundo y durante bastantes años y ha conocido muchos lugares y tal. Y le pregunto a Dean qué sitios considera él que están debajo del radar, que no tienen tal vez el reconocimiento, que no aparecen en las listas de los 50 Best o de nominaciones de Tales o BCB o lo que sea, pero que le han ofrecido a él algo especial, algo que se ha quedado con él, aunque no sea tal vez un lugar de cócteles demasiado potente. Me nombra uno que no recuerda el nombre, que es de Tim Phillips, que está en Australia, que está en la parte de Sydney, donde le ofrecieron una serie de cócteles que estaban muy bien hechos y que lo que hicieron muy bien fue emular o mejorar lo que son el concepto de RTDs, que son Ready to Drink, como por ejemplo un Bacardi Breezer, que es una marca muy internacional reconocida, pero hecho por ellos, embotellado por ellos y mejorado de alguna manera por ellos. Tim me decía, como Bacardi Breezer debería saber. I was just saying because I really like what you said, that like Bacardi Breezer should taste like. That's a good thing.
What they were aiming for.
What they were aiming for, and then they went half-assed. El segundo lugar que me menciona está en Copenhague. Es un bartender que se llama Joffrey, que aparentemente trabajó en Nueva York en Employees Only. Un excelente radio también de lo que les ofrecía, con un servicio también muy único, tal vez con uno de los nombres menos reconocidos en comparación con los otros sitios que se encuentran en Copenhague. Dean hacía también mención a este sitio y decía, no es que el sitio esté dormido, sino que nosotros, o que Copenhague esté dormido, sino que nosotros, el resto del mundo, estamos dormidos y no nos damos cuenta. I also really like that comment when you say, it's not that the place is, or the place or the area, Copenhagen, is sleepy, it's that we're sleeping on that and we're not realizing that it's there. I really like that. Y el último sitio que me menciona, que me gusta mucho, es un sitio que... What was the name of the last place? The one that we were just talking about, the beer and that? He'll come back to you. Un sitio que está en Múnich, donde él fue y atendió hace tiempo atrás y fue con dos gran profesionales de la industria, que son Charlotte Boise, que está en Estados Unidos, y Jacob Bryars, que es la persona que lleva todo el advocacy a nivel internacional de Bacardi. Y fueron a un bar donde ellos trabajaban mucho el concepto de kilómetro cero, solamente cócteles con ingredientes de proximidad que cambiaban cada día, que obviamente no era muy rentable y que de hecho el lugar probablemente desapareció ahora, pero que le ofrecieron el menú completo el primer día. Dean se bebió el menú completo y al día siguiente, cuando dijo ya sé lo que quiero beber, habían cambiado el menú completo otra vez y le preguntaron si le gustaba la cerveza. Y le trajeron una cerveza de una barrica pequeña de madera que abrieron en ese momento para él, y cuando él la probó, aunque estaba en un sitio de coctelería, sintió que era el mejor bar del mundo, con la mejor cerveza, con sus mejores amigos. Chicos, empezamos a hacer el wrap-up. Vamos a dejarlo ya por hoy. Agradecemos el tiempo de Dean. Dean, I'm just starting to say my goodbyes now, for out of respect for you and for the people as well. As usual, I went over half an hour. I'm terrible at time. I suppose that might be one of my signature things in a way. It's been great, man. I'm being a little bit selfish here. It's been great for me because it's always good to catch up with you. I think we hadn't had the chance to have a little conversation in a little while. I'm looking forward to when this whole ridiculous apocalypse with no zombies finish and I can start traveling again. London is going to be probably the first place that I'm going to be going to. And I'll give you a ring. Maybe we can catch up.
Sure, man.
Maybe I can meet the new member of your family. Maybe we can do something. I don't know.
Yeah,
hopefully
but before that, I want to order some fino colada from you.
Brother, I was about to say, let me see if I have something here just to show you at least. What we did is when this whole pandemic and quarantine started, we tried to react very quickly, and I respect people that they didn't do the same. I think everybody reacts to these kind of extreme situations in a different way. But what we did is we start doing this whole takeaway cocktail things or delivery cocktail things as soon as we possibly could. And the first few days, maybe 3 to 4 days, me and my partner, what we did, it was just the usual backpack thing. But then very rapidly we said, right, okay, well, we put in a solution to our problem, but we're not feeling really comfortable. Also, we didn't want to play, you know, the card on the whole plastic thing, you know, and all that kind of thing. And the idea of doing a new format, it actually we wanted to do cans, like proper cans, but here in Spain, apparently, for some reason, if you want to buy a can, you know, you need to buy like 5,000 of them. And it was too big a number, you know, and it was like, man, I need maybe, if that, you know, a couple of hundreds. So we couldn't do that. And then I said to my friend, listen, let's think local. What is it what they do a lot of here in Spain, in Catalonia, Barcelona? They do a lot of olive oil. And there are some formats in olive oil that they're really cool. Let's look into that. And my idea came originally from this thing that I brought from the States a couple of years ago, which I really like the format, which it looks like between old school petrol and can and olive oil. And then I remember that you know, plenty of companies, they do these olive oil containers that you have here. This is the blank one, it's not branded. They're super cool. They come brand new. We still sanitize them and like clean them completely properly and all that. They have this top thing here that you just twist and kind of pull. That is very cool as well. And it's 250 ml this format, which to us is perfect because in 250 ml you get, for example, kind of two drinks in a Negroni without dilution. Okay, so you have a healthy measure of a drink on that. And then obviously, you know, the whole branding and everything that we're doing, we're rednecking it, you know, we just doing it ourselves. And we just, you know, got a friend who has a really cool printer that is a little bit above, you know, the average, and we do it ourselves. And then we're doing this. And now we moved from doing deliveries only in Barcelona. And now since 2-3 days ago, we're doing national delivery. And it's going okay. And it's going okay. It's going okay and it's going fine, and we're actually thinking to start inviting not only bartenders but even bars that maybe they don't have delivery system and use our platform and saying, promote your bar, promote your drink, use our platform, we'll help you with the delivery system and everything else, and we facilitate everything for you. And it's going good, man. Cool. It's going good. Thank you for asking and mentioning on that. Dean, sooner than later, hopefully, we'll meet. Sooner than later, we'll share a drink and I'll get to see you in person. And hopefully, in some point, not only me going to London, perhaps you coming to Barcelona.
I'm definitely coming. I want to come to your
bar. And to my house. I live in the countryside. I live in a really nice place. And I think I have it here. I don't know if you're going to be able to read it because it's backwards, but this is the original menu, the first menu that we did. And here in Meet ABB Cocktails, the first one, it says, Fino Colada, Dean Callan, UK. And that's my homage to you, my friend. And I thank you again for your time, brother.
Thanks, brother.
And I hope that you're okay and that you get better soon. Don't go too crazy. Don't laugh too hard.
I'm trying not to.
And I will be seeing you in the Dean Callan show soon as well. And I'll
Yeah,
keep in
maybe
touch.
not tonight, but Monday.
Maybe not tonight. Yeah, no problem. Take it easy, my friend. Thank you
Cheers,
so
guys.
much.
Bye.
Bye, my friend. Ciao, ciao.
Where's the